Big thing for you, and do you think that was a big part of the film, that it's raising maybe a level of people who maybe mightn't be visible on screen before?
Well, yeah, man, that's what I took out of it, and I thought that Gary Boyle, I just thought he was brilliant in the Q&A afterwards, and obviously he had his hands on the script as well, and helped with advice for that. I think it's so important. I've never even known about this, so that alone is good, and I hope that the message gets out more. YPA, young Parkinsons in Ireland. It's an important thing that we all should be talking about.
Yeah. And what's coming up for yourself?
3 films coming up. That's in the DIF Dublin International 2. I directed a feature documentary, a short drama, and then I'm acting in Broken Law, which is the Paddy Slattery film. And then in April, I have 2 more films that are out in the Belfast International. That's Bend in the River and Black Medicine. So one in Tyrone, one in Belfast.
What are the 2 in the Dublin Film Festival?
Well, there's 3 in the Dublin Film Festival. There's Innocent Boy, which we won the Virgin Media Short Film competition, which I directed.
Yeah.
Then there's End of Sunshine and a Cloudy Day, which is a feature documentary. And then there's Broken Law, which I acted in.
Excellent. Okay, great. We'll look forward to those. Listen, thanks, John.
Thank you.
Thanks a million.
Cheers.
And I think that was one thing, I can't remember who it was, but somebody after the screening in Cork said that it was nice to see a movie that focuses on quite a dour topic, but also brings quite a bit of levity to the situation.
Exactly.
I mean, you wouldn't expect to laugh as much in a movie about somebody afflicted by such a serious condition. So it was good to kind of be able to weave the two.
Definitely,
into one.
And I think young Parkinsons Ireland seem to really appreciate that it isn't just treating it in a dark way. There's a lot of lighter moments as well.
Yeah, no, I mean, you heard Gary Boyle at the Q&A afterwards, and he was full of compliments. We were also at a Young Parkinsons event. I imagine it was probably a little over a year and a half ago or so, and nobody had seen the film at this point. I think maybe 1 or 2 people had seen a rough cut, but they'd seen the trailer and they said, it looked great, and they're really looking forward to seeing it. I think the response from anyone suffering from young Parkinson's has been overwhelmingly positive, so it's great that it does that as well.
That's one of the really touching and emotional sides of seeing the film. Yeah, the fact that it has touched so many people in young Parkinson's Ireland. What about the music side of it then? Obviously, that was a pretty integral part of it for you. Was that enjoyable, being part of a rock band? Were you part of a rock band already?
No, I've never been. I was actually just speaking to John Connors there, which is great, and he was asking me the same thing, and I was saying no. I mean, I kind of started to teach myself to play the guitar at 13. I mean, pretty poorly as well. I mean, I get so far in a song and then go, this bit's too hard, just move on to the next song. But it was enough. I mean, I think it was enough to kind of dummy, I'm not actually playing. I mean, I did then go...
Is that you singing?
Yeah, it is. There's 2 original songs, I believe, we sing in the film, which are composed by Zach Stevenson from Monkey, the Dublin band. And I just had to kind of record over his vocals, and they put me in, and that was a bit of an interesting day, because I don't fancy myself as much of a singer, but I mean, Chiara was very, supportive, and so was Philip.
You did a very good job, but I must say. And as well, of course, the punk style means, you just go and do it.
It doesn't matter how good you are at singing, it just matters how enthusiastic you are about it.
Did it inspire you maybe to go into music? Because, I mean, with that camaraderie that came across on screen of being in a band.
Simple stuff like Blitzkrieg Bop and The Clash and stuff, just to kind of... Number one, learn to play as a bit of a band, and it also was good in that it kind of helped us bond, and I think you can see that chemistry on screen.
You definitely can, yeah. The bonding between the band members is great. Comes across very well, yeah. So what's next for you as actor, writer, musician?
I haven't really done anything since the new music, and I mean, it was filmed 3 years ago almost at this point or something.
Yeah.
I don't know, I'm kind of moved into the professional world a little bit more now, so there's not so much time, but I mean...
It's an inevitability to that as well, yeah.
Yeah, if there's anybody sitting at home who sees it and they want to give me a part, paying preferably, I mean, I am available.
Hire him, he's brilliant. Great. Mayor, thanks a million.
Yeah, it's great to see the Bernard Shaw in it, since it's gone now,
Oh, yes, of course, yeah.
And, of course, it really suits the part with all the graffiti and the kind of the rough edge.
I thought it was really confronting. Again, I was not really aware of how Parkinson would affect the body, and especially with young people. The moment that he woke up, I was like, oh, that is a weird shot, with the foot into the camera, and then I actually realized this is really where it's... So that was a bit pretty heavy, and
in your face.
Yeah, like in the face.
Literally.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think there was a lot of great feedback of people who maybe weren't aware of the condition. And how did that feel when you were at the Q&A?
Well, I wasn't aware of the condition until it landed in my lap like 10 years ago, and it was like out of nowhere. Total shock, total, the kind of surprise you never want to hear. And at that moment, like, my entire life changed. But now, 10 years on, I'm at the point where, I've got to deal with this. I want to live, I want to stay alive, and I'm just embracing as much exercise and Irish set dancing as I can, which is something that I never thought I would do in my entire life, but there you go.
Well, set dancing was one of your
hobbies. Irish set dancing, believe it or not, discovered by another fellow Italian, to Chiara, a neuroscientist from Venice, Dr. Daniel Volpe, who has a passion for Irish music anyway, and he just discovered that the 8 beats per bar in Irish music was perfect for people learning to kind of control their gait, their balance, and get their walk back to normal. And it's something I do every Wednesday in Sandiford. And it's great fun.
That's brilliant. That's lovely. Yeah. Thanks a million, Gary. Really appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So being able to come over here and work on a feature film with all these amazing actors and musicians and everybody in between was just an amazing experience for me personally, and that's what really I got out of it at the end of the day.
Thinking back of all the filming days, what was your personal highlight? Is there one moment there that was particularly better than all the others?
No.
It was all equally excellent.
Yes.
Dealing with everything.
Yes, it was. No, filming days were great days. I very much enjoyed going out with everybody whenever we would ever.
No days when there's howling wind going through the microphone or cars going by or planes going overhead that really annoyed you?
There was a dog at one point that would not shut up.
I'm a big dog fan now.
I am a big dog. I have dogs myself.
And what's your overall reaction from the film and the Q&A? How did you feel?
I felt like it was very informative, from a young onset Parkinson's perspective. I didn't know some of the stuff that was talked about in the Q&A, and sitting with my husband and watching the film together, we really thought it was a good representation, like it was talked about in the Q&A, and I think that's the most important thing, to have with this film. Not only show a story between these 4 people, but show what the actual effects are that this disease can bring.
Absolutely, yeah. Okay, Samantha, thanks a million for talking.
Thank you so
much.
All right. Very much enjoyed it.
Just wondering, are they just a coincidence, or is it a way of showing a labor of love towards the city that adopted you? Or let you adopted?
I love Dublin. I love the look of it, the streets. I came here to live here 5 years ago, and I just want any occasion there is to show how beautiful Dublin is. And I'm writing a new story at the moment, and it's all focused on, again, Dublin city centre. I think there's so many beauty everywhere you turn. It might not be like the first glance, but then if you look again, there's something beautiful. And so I really did want to, of course, show some parts of Dublin over others, because those are the places where I imagine these characters would live, and the kind of areas that hang out and all that. But definitely there is an aesthetic idea that the Dublin is beautiful.
Speaking of locations, I had 2 questions. I thought I was watching Once Again, but that wasn't Walton's, was it the piano shop?
It was Walton's.
Oh, was it? Oh, well, you never know, you might end up in the Oscars. and the fancy house then, his home, is that in Wicklow, or where was that?
That is in Wexford.
Wexford, yeah. That's a pretty
It's a beautiful place as well, again, thanks to friends.
I don't think you need to backtrack very far in terms of filmmaking. I think you just burst it. You're already fine. I wanted to ask you about this thing I'm holding here is a microphone. The microphone was big in the film, and I wondered if you had that was a deliberate thing in terms of articulating the voice and breaking up the film. It was very sudden, very big, and it seemed to work very well in terms of kicking the story along.
Well, thank you for the great question, and thank you for coming tonight. that's just kind of it's one of those things that kind of happened as a casually. So we had a bunch of gear that we decided to bring along into this place where we filmed, and we just put that there, and then it did work extremely well in terms of visuals. So it's an old microphone that is kind of misused a little bit. Like, it's not supposed to exactly be like this, it's supposed to be, but you know, first Will wouldn't know because he doesn't care. So that's it's part of the charm, I guess. That would be great. So you know, that was just a happy accident, and then it was great. Like the cinematographer Fabien was able to really capture that.
For people who have Parkinson's, be it young onset Parkinson's or let's say regular onset Parkinson's, one of the first things that starts to go is your voice, and it can be very upsetting because you don't realise it. And this is one of the things that we're trying to do in young onset Parkinson's, is to get people referred for speech and language therapy, for occupational therapy, physiotherapy, etc. But particularly regarding speech and language therapy and being heard, being included in conversation. There's nothing worse than you're out with friends in a restaurant or in a pub, and you think you're speaking loudly and they can't really hear you, and it becomes an issue, and then you retreat into yourself. I mean, it happens a lot, and we need a lot of attention on that. We need a lot of attention on a lot of things, but particularly on that, because that's amongst the first thing that goes. And when your voice fades and you don't realise it has faded, it's a very disconcerting place you end up in, and we really need to tackle that. It's not going to cost the earth or anything like that, it's just a question of allocation resources and stuff. But that's so important, to be heard and to hear. And it's a good kind of commentary on what you've just mentioned about the microphone. Thank you.
So, I, as you could see from the film, I really love music. It's everywhere. So I always wanted to make a film about musicians and people who love music, play music. And so that was one of the things that I wanted to explore with the script. And I also wanted to talk about all those things in life that happen to us and prevent us from doing what we actually planned we wanted to do with ourselves. And so I thought about writing the story of a musician who finds himself in a situation where he can't play, or he can't play the way he wanted to. And I made a little bit of research at the start, not much research. And I immediately bumped into young onset Parkinson's disease. I didn't know it existed, didn't know it was a thing, and it immediately kind of had a big impact on me. And so although these two things kind of linked together at the very beginning, and the fact that young Parkinson's still, it is a rare condition. It's one of 20. Yeah, but it isn't really talked about. Like, I didn't know anything. I hadn't heard about it from anywhere else. Plus the music, so I decided to put these two things together and use the film as a way to talk about this topic. So he came up and he said, "Well, I can compose some music." I was like, "Oh my God, yes!" So he did, and then he came. He flew here to Dublin about a year ago now, and we recorded some of his music and some of the other bits and pieces, and those were then mixed into the sound design. So again, we had amazing sound designer, amazing post audio people that kind of created all this kind of sort of soundtrack of, there's lots of cars coming and going in the traffic, and there's also piano notes coming in and out, and that's David. So this was big, again, ensemble of people creating this.
What the process like was finding music for the film? Some of it might have been original, or how did you find it?
So there's all the different categories of music in the film. So we have lots of songs that were given to us by musicians for the soundtrack, and this has been out of making a non-profit film. So loads of bands that are just decided to give us music, just donate us music for the film, for the cause, because they knew what the film was going to be about. They knew it was made in association with Young Parkinson's Ireland. So we've had loads of support from artists, for musicians who decided to just jump on board on this. And then we have original music composed for the film. So the two songs played by the cellmates have been composed by Zachary Stevenson from the band Bunky. We just sat down at the table and I said, I'm not even going to write the lyrics, I'm terrible at this, but this is the mood I'm looking for this scene and that scene. And
tell me what came before this. Were you a film student? Has it come out of that background?
No, I landed into film after a long time writing and experimenting with screenwriting, but I haven't been to film school. I'm trying to backtrack a little bit now.
Well, I mean, certainly the film feels like it's made with loads of goodwill. You know, we might talk about the Parkinsons in a moment, but just I'm curious about the music, and clearly your 3 cast members are the fourth, but the bands, the cellmates, they appear, you know, to be really tight musically. And to know, were they musicians before they were actors, or did they come as a job lot, the 3 of them together?
Well, in the casting, we did ask them to be able to play their instrument a little bit. Patrick is really good at playing the bass, and Jack plays guitar and Martina plays the drums. So it was enough for none of them are professional musicians, but they are amazing actors. So putting the 2 things together, and so it made it, and also by the time we shot, we were all really good friends. So I think that helped in that sense of chemistry.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, can we perhaps? I saw lots of movie stars on the way, and could we have cast members stand up so we can just see you're here in the room with us? Woo.
Plays a lot of the score on this, and he's one of, he's a buddy of mine. He's living with young onset Parkinsons as well, but he's classically trained, and he was here back in December when they were doing the recording, and it was great fun. But it's kind of one of those bittersweet ironies, you know.
Exactly. You might anticipate a scenario where somebody might go over the top with it, but there's such restraint in the performance. It feels very measured, as if there were research. And I mean, Chiara, might it have been trickier to represent Parkinson's at a later stage of its development? I mean, did you decide that it would be a kind of early stage rather than later stage?
Well, the idea of the storyline it was from the very beginning, the idea that that's just in the moment of denial what was going on and having to come to terms with it. So I wanted him from the beginning to have just been told, this is, you have Parkinson's, and then it's just that the few months after. So that was a decision at the beginning. I wasn't, so of course I did some research into it in terms of how and what kind of scenes we could use, what kind of symptoms we could go ahead with. But that was the stage where I was already in touch with Young Parkinsons Ireland. So they went through the script and they said, oh, we think this is really good, and it's great that you haven't overdone it. So immediately they told me, don't overdo it. Even if you were thinking about it, but I wasn't. Even if you were thinking about showing more, we like the way it is. So that was before we started filming. So it already kind of gave me a sense that I could just go ahead with what I had in mind.
Gary, must admit, I was having a Google this afternoon on representations of Parkinson's in film, and although there's possibly several documentaries, there wouldn't be many fiction films. And can you talk about that, about the value of seeing Parkinson's on screen?
Yeah, what I've seen on screen to date has been very focused on what we would say, what people would usually call regular, or for people who are, say, older, in the older kind of category. And I have to say, it's not something that I would be, signing up for if that's what's kind of going to be ahead of me. I want to kind of make sure that what I'm dealing with now is something that I can do whatever I can to kind of slow it down. It's a deteriorating condition. It's going to keep moving. It's going to keep going. But I figure if I can, work hard at it, I can definitely slow that down. And this is the first movie. This is the first kind of real experience we've had where it focuses on the young aspect of it, and it kind of talks about, well, it's here. It's not going to go away. We can't go to every consultant in the world and make it go away. It's not going to. So it takes everybody a bit of time to kind of come to terms with it. You can't just come to terms with it and do it. So it's unique for everybody, but it is something that now with this movie, it's a very good representation of what it's like for somebody who's kind of, none of us were ever expecting this. This came out of nowhere. These diagnoses I remember I was 44 at the time, and I said to my consultant, I'm 44, I'm not 74, I can't get Parkinson's. And he said, a girl in here last week, she's 29, she has it as well. So it's kind of, it's rare, and I don't like being in that rare category, but if I am, and I think what this movie helps is you deal with it and you get on with it with the things that can help you to get on with it. And that's what I compliment Chiara and what she's done here. It's fantastic.
I think the most important thing for me throughout the whole process was knowing that there was a backup, knowing that people wanted to see it, having people keep asking about it and being interested, and the GoFundMe making a little bit of money. So I always felt that there was something behind me, kind of, keeping the thing going, so even when we felt like we have no money, there would still be like, we have to go ahead, and so we did. So I think the last bit was what I learned. I think that I definitely, I knew that from short films, but I think a feature really has that sense that making films, it's a work you do all together. So, there's so many people involved, and every single one of them is fundamental. So it's a collective work. And everyone is so important. So everybody who's here tonight, so many people here tonight, have something to do with the film, some of the cast, the crew, some of the musicians, some of our friends who watch the editing over and over and said, I'm not really sure about that scene, so we just go back and change that scene. So there's been so much help. So I definitely learned that you can never, I wouldn't be like that because it's not the way I am, but sometimes you hear, the director. That's not true. Everybody's working together. Like making a film is all the people you've seen credited and more are all. We've all done this film together.
All learned a lot. I mean, Chiara, it's such a fine achievement. Really, it is. And Gary, thank you for sharing with us. I mean, I think we've all learned a lot through the film and through your contribution here, and I think we could all go off and learn more and educate ourselves a little bit more and just be more receptive and more sensitive to people living with Parkinson's. Chiara, you look like you want to say something else.
I just wanted to ask a tiny question to Gary. So, what was YPI doing at the moment in Dublin? And if anybody was to come up to you and say, or if anybody wanted to know more about what you guys do in Dublin, how do they do that?
What we try and do is every month we have some sort of social event on where we have people come in, talk to us about research and developments in, particularly towards young onset Parkinson's. We try and have a social event as well tied to that, and just a place for people to meet and greet. Very kind of inconspicuous in a hotel. It's not kind of a big neon sign, young Parkinson's here, because we kind of want to not kind of spread it out too much. But there are a lot of things that are going on, and if you can get in touch with YPI, you'd be on our mailing list, and it'll be all regular and stuff like that. A lot of people turn up to these events in the background, and they just want to have a look in because they haven't, a bit like Adrian in the movie, it took them a long time, it's taken them a long time to kind of come to terms with it. They don't want anybody to know. So we just kind of discreetly kind of get on, but there's a few of the guys here saying, they'll say, yeah, we have a great time. We just, when we get to know each other, we drink too much, and that's pretty normal, But that's what we do, and we try and do that around the country as well, in Limerick and Galway and Cork.
Going ahead, you might be accosted on your way out.
And ask what you think about the film. If you don't want to talk to them, just don't talk to them. They're just putting together if we can a tiny video of the night, but there's absolutely no pressure whatsoever.
Correct. Okay, well, thank you all very much for coming. Thank you, Chiara. Thank you, Gary. And
thank you.